We got with us today the full Metal Racquets. Got my friend Gordon, Steve, and Mike there on the right, repping the USTA Texas hat. Guys, thanks for agreeing to come on and kind of talk shop with me a little bit about tennis and about some other issues with the adaptive community, amputees, just some kind of stuff that we go through on a regular basis and things like that. But one thing I wanted to kind of start off and talk about and just offer you guys so much praise. I know in Houston we started in 2014. We had a program that I ran. We had other people helping us. We called the kids the champs, but we never really had an opportunity or we didn't set up kind of like a team atmosphere environment. And it was really great to see you guys be the first real adaptive standing tennis team, the full Metal Racquets. And I thought that was just so cool. And looking at things where they are right now, I really wanted to have you guys on here to talk about that, to hopefully help inspire and get other programs and teams started up in different cities. So tell me a little bit about, Full Metal Racquets and some things you guys have experienced in San Antonio.
Well, we started when you and Cindy Benson came down to do a demonstration.
Right.
It was something to do with the San Antonio Tennis Association.
Right.
And then Mona Patel decided that we had quite a bit of interest that day. So she allowed me to work with Mike and Steve and some of the core guys and set up a team. And she provided some funding for necessary equipment, things like that. Well, that went on for how many years?
3 or 4.
Three or 4 years. We got funding. But eventually, San Antonio Tennis Association, because it went through so many different directors rapidly, they sort of lost interest in us.
Right.
And we kind of sometimes got shuffled off, canceled a lot. Then just because the younger ones that were involved got busy with their jobs and their personal lives, it came down to a core group of 4.
Right.
Mike, Steve, Jose, and Marcus, and myself.
Gotcha.
But I wasn't playing. And we went to Galveston. Mike and Steve and Jose went to Houston to tap.
3 times for me and twice for Steve.
Yeah, and but funding became an issue.
Yeah, I think that you really nailed a good spot there is funding. And that there's a lot of people that think, okay, you can go there and you can go online and you can Google adaptive standing tennis and you'll find information about it and you'll find out how you can become involved and how you can play. There are tournaments popping up places, but I guess with adaptive sports and especially adaptive standing, because we're not sanctioned, the funding just isn't there to help players travel, to cover training, things like that, coaching. So I know that when I was playing and training and doing things more seriously, I found creative ways to go out and do fundraisers for myself and things like that. And it was hard. I mean, it was really hustling and hitting the streets. But I think that you nailed a really good, topic, is that people coming in and then leaving, because we noticed that in Houston as well, is we would have players come in and then they would leave because they would lose interest. There was nothing else for them to participate in. So give me some of your ideas and thoughts just over the years. How can we, because, Texas, we're the home state of kind of getting things going. So how can we, as a state again, and as a nation, do you think, from your experiences, grow things?
Well, USTA, the USTA Texas section, Cindy does a wonderful job with the adaptive, but mainly with the wheelchair people. And I know funding for her is a struggle also, but somewhere along the way, either USTA or the Texas section of USTA is going to have to allot some funding out to assist the players that are really serious, I think there's you in Houston, Mike and Steve here. What's the guy's name in Waco? Eric?
Eric, yep.
Eric.
There's Nora.
Nora, but I think you have to look at the basics of ability also. And then they're going to have to set up some way just for basic grants. It doesn't have to be the entire trip, but some way to start funding partially the guys' travel expenses. And then I'm happy to help them set up GoFundMe. The applications for Challenged Athletes Foundation, we've had one successful candidate here. No, two.
Was it Stewart?
No, well, Stuart Martin got one. What's the guy's name that passed away?
Oh, God.
Oh,
Was he the
God.
weightlifter?
The weightlifter. We had a guy that was doing competitive fitness.
Okay.
He was a really severe diabetic and ended up passing away after he developed COVID pneumonia.
Man, well, hey, RIP.
Yeah. So, anyway, we're off the subject. Sorry.
Robert Beltran.
Robert?
Yeah, Robert. No, Robert. It was Garcia.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that we're off the subject. But if we could just get basic funding for the guys to travel. I know Mike got money to go to North Carolina from, what's it, John
It was from Heiser, but
Heiser.
they had something, you know, in their program where they said when they were trying to get people to come out, they said, listen, if you can't make it out here, let us know. And we got funding. We can try to help you get a motel. We'll help you. You know, they were doing everything. All we had to do was pay for the registration, and it looked like they were going to take care of everything else. So I was thoroughly impressed with that. I mean,
Yeah, Heiser, he's doing a really good job with Cast out there. And, you know, we got some really, I think, really great new leadership in the United States. I think he gets it as far as the steps that need to be taken to be grown from a tournament standpoint. So I can tell you a little bit kind of from in the inside of what I know and working in some committee meetings and talking with other people from traveling. So wheelchair tennis took a big hit for many years, especially the United States wheelchair, kind of what we're talking about right now, growing adaptive standing tennis in the United States. So wheelchair tennis took a big hit. So with American tennis for able-bodied players, the USTA pivoted and took a route where they said, okay, we haven't produced a lot of new American top tier tennis players in a long time, right? So, you know, you had Sampras and all these other guys back in the day, and then there was Andy Roddick, but you know, after that, you have John Isner, and then it's so they adopted a program where they really started concentrating on the youth, and they started with the youth and they built it from there. So with wheelchair, they noticed the same, that, you know, people talk about wheelchair tennis and things like that. And there's a lot of people that play actually on the Unigo Tour. At the Grand Slams, there's not actually a lot of people. So what they're trying to do is basically the same thing in wheelchair right now. And their focus has shifted into that area, because when they work with adaptive, it's not just one specific adaptive.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
It's multiple levels. So that's what they're doing with wheelchair right now, is they're trying to build that back. So we have great tennis players again, and then at the same time adding on to what they've already done in history. Now we are on the mat big time. I mean, everyone that I talk to, they say, hey, yeah, it's just like I wrote an article, adaptive standing tennis is confusing. Because it is right now. It's just like, okay, how are we going to classify things? It's like, that's the biggest, you know, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? So that's one thing I learned, because when I got in and I started things were starting to grow so fast. And about 3 years in, I recognized from talking with Cindy, because Cindy does do a great job. I think Cindy gets overworked sometimes, and, you know, but she really does a great job, and she hustles. And I mean, I've never met someone that's had a bad word to say about Cindy Benson ever. But they are going to get to us eventually. So the big thing that, you know, I hope that you guys do as a unit, and even if you're going out and just repping, playing able-bodied tennis and things like that, is to just stay together. And, you know, while you're out there, just be like, hey, I do this. And that's how I networked a lot. And I got extra money for travel until all these other, you know, grants and things can become available to help. Mike, I wanted to talk real quick, because I know that you and I had a kind of memorable experience out in Galveston.
Yeah.
that was a time, I guess, you guys came down and that Christina and them said they were setting things up. But we, at that time, like there was just, for me in my own life, my personal life and dedicating a lot of time to adaptive standing tennis was just like so stressed out and just like, I was starting to not have fun with tennis anymore. So we went off and, you were throwing the line in the water. And it was like probably like what, 11:30 at night. And we're out there like looking, and I'm going to try to find charcoal for the fish that we caught, just to throw it on the grill. So like, man, like you don't know how much like that experience meant to me on a personal level during that tournament. That the tennis was fun, but like I think that tournaments are great, but then also on another level of being an individual with a disability and then working against kind of societal kind of perceptions on how they perceive us. That really meant a lot. Like it just, but Gordon, I know one time that you did, you brought up with me, and this is something that I think holds true for all adaptive standing tennis players or adaptive tennis players. At the end of the day, we just want to be treated and kind of looked at like tennis players, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have experienced it. I think, Gordon, you touched briefly on it with me at one point, but kind of getting marched into a room, or when you're training and playing, getting kind of, shown off in a certain area as being an inspiration for being disabled. And I think that message is partially true, because for a while I thought of it as something bad. And then I looked at it from another side of the coin and said, okay, well, people can find inspiration in anything. I look at inspiration and I find it in people for different things. So it's just about kind of conveying that message, I think, really to the other individuals who are watching you and trying to humanize things while you're out there and just being buddy, and actually having time to talk to the people that you're hitting around, not just having someone else or overseer, talk over you and like this is this group, but no, go let them mingle, go hang out. And I think that'll help.
When we had the program really going, and we had, what was her name coaching us? Katie and Roger.
Or Luscious, I'm sorry.
When we had them coaching, and we were mixed in with the novice able-bodied.
Yeah, I mean,
it was great, because
fitness in the park.
Fitness in the park. It was a City of San Antonio program. And we would draw probably 9 of us and probably 25 or 30 more able-bodied kids, adults, people coming back into tennis. And that was great. And I got stopped several times. And by the able-bodied tennis teams, the Trinity team was there. A bunch of high school teams were there. And they would come watch, and they couldn't believe that our guys could play as well as they could play. In fact, Mike and Steve played some of the high schoolers or something. Didn't you something one time? You played somebody.
Well, we played, actually, it was Marcus and I played the Special Olympics, Olympics team.
The gold medalist.
And we got set up because they were like, hey, do you want to play these guys? And we're like, yeah, we'll play them. I mean, I'm game to play anybody. And they beat us 13 out of 14 games.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it was
crazy.
A lesson. It was a lesson.
Yeah, and I think that falls into the theme too, that what people are trying to do is break stereotypes.
Yeah, you can't be looking at people
thinking, okay, I'm going to play against Special Olympians.
Yeah.
And they're wiping you. And
so we're up there, buddy.
Yeah, man. So I had the pleasure of getting to coach, and I still work with him, Deontay Foster. He has kind of a unique situation where he has a cognitive disability. So he played Special Olympic tennis for a while, was a 3-time world gold medal champion. And then he developed osteosarcoma in his leg, and his leg had to be amputated. So they flew him he lives in St. Kitts and Nevis out in the Caribbean.
Right.
They flew him out to Syracuse, and they amputated his leg there. He stayed with the host family. So it was really cool. I lost a personal friend at that time to cancer, and I felt really bad, because he had a decision to make whether or not to amputate his arm to save his life. And I knew him for a long time, and he didn't do it. And after he finally did it and it was too late, he said he wished he would have done. So it was kind of one of those moments in life where it was just like, I feel like I let my friend down kind of. So then working with Deontay was just a little extra special for me, just to kind of see my friend through him and try to help develop Deontay's game as best as possible. But hey, Steve, let's pivot to you here, man, because I know I've had a good chance to talk to, Gordon and Mike over the years, but, I'd love to learn a little bit more about you, man, what you've taken in from tennis and everything. And
Well, like when we go out to play, we play once or twice a month. We'll go to usually Alma Heights middle school, and there's playing doubles, and they don't want to play us because they don't want to get beat by us. Once they see us play, they say, "Oh no, that's okay." So there's a stigma there. I'm going to lose to no cripples. So.
Right. And so, hey, I think you hit it on the head. And there's a lot of people that feel that way. And there's a lot of people that don't speak out about it and get out and just be like, hey, just because I beat you and I'm down the leg, that doesn't mean anything. You should look at it as a positive, saying if there's anything that ever happens in your own life, because the amputee population is due to go up because of eating habits, or something just may happen randomly in life, you should be able to look at that and say, okay, hey, if that ever happens to me, I can still play tennis at the level these guys are playing tennis out there. So I think you touched on a really good point, and it's like cool to, you can shift the societal views around, but it takes time. You know what I mean?
And then, we're talking about like training and stuff. We've really never had any formal training.
Yeah.
It's always, well, here, do this and do that. And then, they're working with different other people and stuff. So we never had individualized training.
Right.
What we do, what we've learned and how we play is all self-taught.
Right. Well, I have some friends out there in that area. I know Jesse. I don't know what he's tied up with at the time, but I know with me that that even when I was growing up and my mom put me in tennis lessons and I played JTT tennis and things like that I had one tennis coach take me seriously when I was younger. Bart Bernstein, I enrolled in his summer academy. But after that, it was, playing on my school's tennis teams, and the coaches they'd look at you differently. One year, even like I got beat out by like 4 people that I was ranked higher than in JTT tennis. So like, I didn't learn this till like 2 years ago, but my mom and like everyone, all the other mothers went to the school and petitioned, and they were like, how come Jeff didn't make the tennis team? Because he's better than our children. So I think that still does exist, and it's going away. Just like you said, it's going to take time. So with the coaching and the training, my game started to get a lot better when I started working out of my club and training with my coach, Erwin Montalavo, and he kind of saw everything clicked. We had a great relationship. And just when he had free time, I would go out and he would just teach me, stuff to do, on my own that I could get better. That I think that'll come in time, the training and stuff like that. We'll see the next generation really kind of take in what we're putting the work out there in the streets for right now. So, but anyways, guys, I just wanted to say, hey, keep going, and it's going to be really great to kind of see you the next time I see you.
We've got the regional games coming up, man. Are you going to be up here?
I don't know. I'm right now, like number one to me is kind of just getting health back on track. And as soon as my back's better, that's going to help out a lot with my mind and mental kind of status with some of the medications. And pain management is a joke in Texas. I mean, it's crazy. I go to other states and they're like, oh, you should try this. And you can't do it in Texas because you get drug tested every month for pain management. And if you have CBD or something like that for a while, like one doctor, he fired me as a patient because I had CBD. I took CBD, and it's like, so you have to take the pills. And then I'm like, okay, what about breakthrough pain? They're like, oh, hey, go have a whiskey or go have a beer. And it's like, bro, like that's the one thing they tell you not to do on the medicine label. So it's, I'm going to have to see how pain management plays out and may, when my son is older, have to relocate. But again, Gordon, Steve, Mike, I really respect all of you a lot. And I can't wait till we get together again and Mike, we'll have to get Steve and Gordon out there. We'll all go fishing again and make some good memories. So, but hey,
Yeah.
you guys keep up
I-
the good work, keep going,
All
and
right.
we'll do this again in the future. I'm gonna check in and see how you're doing. Okay.
All righty, sir.
Great.
Thank you.
All right.
Nice
Love you
talking to you
guys. Take
guys.
care.
Nice talking to you.